Welcome into the DePaud, a DePaul Hoops podcast brought to you by Homefield. Go check out homefield.com and pick up your DePaul gear and get ready for this season. Use promo code DePaud at checkout for 15% off your first order. Go check out homefield.com today. On today's episode, we've got head coach Chris Holtmann for your DePaul men's basketball team talking all about his process of putting this roster together and a little more. So let's jump right into it.
Got a McAdoo look to his shot.
Spins, fade away. Yes, sir, Chandler hits the three.
Oh, tough shot. Giving it up to Reed.
Welcome into the DePaud, a DePaul Hoops podcast brought to you by Homefield. Go check out homefield.com today. Promo code DePaud at checkout for 15% off your first order. Gear up for this season. Lots of exciting things in store. On today's episode, we've got Chris Holtmann, head coach of your DePaul Blue Demons. Really fun interview with him. Had a little bit of fun with it towards the end there, asking him some out there questions. But before we get into that, this season will be jam-packed with a lot more content. I know I've said that at the end of the last episode, but we're working on some things in the background so that we could put more and more out there for this season so that you guys can enjoy and listen and interact as well. So stay tuned for more on that, but let's jump right into my interview with head coach Chris Holtmann. All right, welcome in. Head coach of your DePaul Blue Demons, Coach Chris Holtmann, joins us today. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a busy schedule with all, being summer and getting yourself acclimated to Chicago. So welcome on.
No, I appreciate it. It's great to be with you. I've heard really good things about the podcast in the past and the coverage of the program from people who've been here. So I'm excited to be on with you.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I'm glad you're here because I know the fans want to hear from you a little bit more. So I wanted to start with this. Since you've been hired, how's it been acclimating to Chicago? I know a couple weeks ago it was Aaron Water show. That was pretty cool seeing those shots from your new home. So how's it been getting acclimated to Chicago here?
It's been great. It's been great. Summer in Chicago, you guys know better than me, right? It's amazing. I mean, I had been up here a few times in the past, whether it was recruiting or just coming up here, for various reasons. So I had always had great appreciation for summertime in Chicago, but man, it is another level of, just incredible weather, so much to do every weekend. So now that my wife and daughter are here, it's obviously been more enjoyable, but it's been great. And those first really few months, not until we got to midsummer, those first few months we didn't care what the weather was like, right? We were on the phone or traveling or in the office or in the hotel room trying to gather what our roster was going to look like. It was all those things.
Oh, great. No, I'm glad you got to enjoy enjoy the last, month or so with all the nice weather and all the activities in Chicago going on. But, that goes to the first C of these 4 C's that I heard that you guys like to preach: community, culture, coaching, and collective. They're all 4 keys to success. Can you talk a little bit about having those all in lockstep and how they contribute to the success of the program?
Yeah, those aren't necessarily our wording, but they do all speak to kind of how we want our program, what we want our program to be about in a lot of ways. And I think the Was the first one you mentioned community? Is that what you?
Community, yeah.
Yeah. I think as much as anything, we're in a great town that loves sports and loves basketball. We want to be a part of this community, the Chicago community, this Lincoln Park community, this area, and we also want our guys to represent what being a DePaul athlete, student athlete looks like, and being a member of the program looks like. And myself, our staff, our families, we want to be a part of the community as well. So I think as much as anything, it's been really good to kind of immerse ourselves in that. And this was the first time I had been on DePaul's campus. It's a few times we had played against each other. This was really the first time I had a chance to kind of go out and be on campus, and I've really enjoyed getting to know the area.
Yeah, and then too, like the culture, changing that culture. You're coming in, and you've experienced some success in going to the tournament and in the Big Ten, and I wanted you to kind of delve into that a little bit, and how bringing that culture here. How do you get that culture? How do you instill that culture into somewhere where it hasn't been as successful in the past few years?
Well, it's hard. There's no question. It's hard. A program that hasn't experienced any winning, but it can be done. And when I say winning, we're really, I guess, the measuring point is the NCAA tournament or the NIT. Postseason viability, I think, is always going to be a goal for us. And I've been fortunate last 10 years to have 8 tournament teams. And been able to advance, several of those years. And there's just some really common denominators with that. And it certainly begins with the kind of people you have in your organization, from coaches to administration to staff. And then obviously the most important people are the players and their buy-in and how they represent how you want to play and how you want to be as a program. So, I said in our first, team workout that one of the things we wanted to accomplish was to really be able to, at the end of the summer, our guys to be able to articulate to some capacity what our program was about on and off the floor. And I don't expect them to be able to do it like EJ Liddell, who I coached for 3 years, at Ohio State or somebody, but I do want them to be able to have an understanding of it more so than what they did to begin with. So I think we had a really good summer on that front, and ultimately it's going to come down to buy-in. That'll be one of the really important factors in all this. And then as we build our program, how can we acquire talent, develop that talent, and create the kind of culture that is about consistent winning.
Sure. And you talk about the importance of people too, right? Like you said, coaching, and how critical it was. You got Jack Owens, you've got Brian Mullins there. Yeah. And then you've in the public, in the conversations on Twitter and things like that, there's been a lot of you've got a great coaching staff with you.
Yeah.
How critical and crucial was that and important was that to you to build your guys that fit your coaching philosophy, yeah, but also that had their own and brought their own stuff to the table?
It was critical. No, that was really critical. The head coaching thing's a little bit too much, probably a little bit too much made of that, because it's not something I looked at to begin with. It just so happens that, Brian Mullins became a head coach at a pretty young age, right? He is from this area and really brings so much to the table when it comes to being an assistant coach at this level. Obviously coaching, as an assistant at Loyola on a Final Four team. So he was an important one. He and Jack Owens were right around the same time. Really, Jack was the first hire. And then I hired some support staff to help us dig into recruiting and the portal. I had to do that right away, honestly. The first, day on the job. It was Jack was at the press conference and Tyler Hicks. Those were two guys. Tyler Hicks was a young guy who one of my assistants, who's the head coach at Illinois State, and he could dive into all of the portal recruiting that was needed when you have to assemble a whole staff. So those two guys did a lot of heavy lifting along with Brian, and then Paris, who I was excited to retain, and then bringing on Brandon and Laval Jordan were all important hires, along with some support staff guys from Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, there's just been like singing your praises everywhere, in college basketball media as far as what you've been able to assemble as far as coaching goes. And two, you mentioned Tyler and recruiting in the portal. I mean, what you guys were able to do in a month and a half's time was outstanding. The team that you assembled. But let's shift gears a little bit here. You just finished the summer session. What's the team looking like, and how are you feeling about how the team's coming along as far as offensive and defense, executing offensive and defensively?
Good. We had a couple guys recovering from injury. David Skogman and Isaiah both were just coming back from some injuries and some rehab. David got back towards the end of the summer, was able to do some things. Isaiah continues his rehab, but they're both on a great path and track towards obviously being fully healthy. David is now. He's just got to get in a little bit better shape. So, like a lot of teams, a lot of teams in the summer have a couple guys that are maybe banged up or having some type of surgery. But it was really good to have a group of guys that we could work with every day. And we did more really team practicing than I had done at any point in my career this summer, for obvious reasons. We wanted to build a synergy as quickly as we could. And we're trying to do that. In order to do that, we've got to learn about each other, and they've got to learn about us and our expectations, and we have to learn about them. And that's what we tried to do. So we did a lot of team practicing. I wouldn't want to play tomorrow, a game tomorrow. We've still got a lot of work to do. But I'm really excited about just this group and, their approach this summer was really exciting to me. They really had a good approach to getting better and to growing both individually and collectively.
Oh, that's great. And, obviously you said that everyone's kind of building, trying to get to know each other, but were there one or two guys that you saw during the summer sessions that kind of maybe were a lot more than you expected? Like someone that brought something extra to the table and really showed out during the summer session?
It's interesting because this is a common question that we get asked as coaches in the summer. And I think all of us as coaches were a little reluctant to throw out too many names, because
Fair.
you feel like, well, that guy, he did some really good things too, and I'm going to leave him out. And this guy, what I will tell you is we had a number of guys perform really well. I do always, you're always thinking about your point guard position because of how important that is. Really, your point guard and your kind of big guy, your interior guy. So I think those two positions, I think Connor did just a really nice job kind of helping to lead this group and to be the kind of guy that we believe can lead in ways. And, there'll be times where, like he's always been in his career, people count him out because of his size or whatever. But he did a really good job, and Layden was able to play the position as well as play off the ball and playing those two guys together, which was exciting. And then I mentioned kind of on the interior, Skogman and NJ had some good moments together. There are a lot of guys in the middle of that lineup that I would mention as well, but I think just focusing on those two positions right now, and those guys did a good job.
What so I want to back up a little bit because I got a little bit ahead talking about the team and things like that. But what was that like? 12, like you had a whole roster to fill
Yeah,
out. And that's unheard of in college basketball. Usually, you've got 3, 4 guys already staying back, or
yeah,
when there's a coaching change. So it's really like unprecedented and like
yeah.
new territory. What was that like? And now you could put your fingerprint on the team from day one, right?
Yeah, no question. It was crazy, and I think there was a lot of things to balance there because um, we inherited a situation that had some challenges via APR that we had to also keep in mind from previous years. So we had to make sure that all of our current players that were going to transfer would transfer eligible and all those things that are required because you don't want to have anything happen in the future. Um, so you had that struggle as well a little bit, and it was a really rewarding experience. What I would say, number one, really rewarding. A lot of work. We spent a lot of time in the. I had a hotel room for I don't know how many weeks, a number of weeks at the Marriott, and I had a room, and then we had a kind of a living area where we met as a staff because we had so many people coming to Wintrust. It was connected to Wintrust. We had so
Yeah.
many, and we were all staying at the Marriott. We had so many people coming to Wintrust for visits that we couldn't get back up the campus and get back. So we were just we met and we had this big whiteboard, and we would lay out positions. I think it begins with kind of how we wanted to build this roster. What did we want to value? What was important to us? And we did that, and we really tried to value skill and positional skill. That was important to us. We tried to value toughness and a competitiveness in guys that we were recruiting. So skill, positional skill, toughness were the two things we really wanted to value. And then we were looking for a smart team, guys that we felt like could play with a level of IQ. And I'm excited about. You had to once you added one piece or one or two pieces, then you were like, okay, how do those two pieces fit with this piece? It was a lot of fun, but also a great challenge.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah, a month and a half time, you did all that, especially, with the nature of how the portal is so competitive and so moves so fast. You could be there one day, and then the next day that guy is already committed, or whatever the case may be. Um, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the upgrades to the facility and the new facility that's potentially upcoming here. I want to talk about the importance of that. I would like to hear from you the importance of that. I know that you've probably said this a few times before, but how like coming from Ohio State to here, how is that going to transform the program and transform the basketball program as a whole?
No, I think that overall is the practice facility is an invaluable part of what we're trying to do here because player development has always been critical for us. I had back-to-back one and dones at Ohio State, and I'm so happy for both those kids. But neither guy came in as a one and done prospect.
Yeah.
They didn't, but they earned it with their work. We had 6 pros in 7 years, and they all came through a variety of ways. But not all came in with the idea that they were going to be NBA players, and a number of them were drafted. They deserve the credit for that, but there was a player development program in place that was really important for them. And I think for us to be the kind of program that we want to be consistently, we have to be really player development has to be critical for us. Guys have to get better from one year to the next. We've got to really value their ability to get better. In order for that to happen, you do have to have a place and facilities for them to do that. So, listen, I think maybe we're the last program in the Big East that doesn't have a practice facility. I think St. John's might have been one, but they're just getting theirs done, if I'm reading that right. So I think there's a lot of strong mid-major programs that have practice facilities. So to have your own place is needed in today's game. It was a factor in me, taking this job, to be quite honest.
Sure.
And Dwayne and Taylor and the whole staff have done an unbelievable job of putting us in position to make that a reality here in a couple years. And I'm excited for that to happen.
No, I think it'll really get this into high gear and get things moving in the right direction. With that, I wanna ask a few little out there questions here. So every team needs a mantra or movie quote to personify them. Picked a few here for you. I want to see what you think here, and we'll start with this one. Why do we fall? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. That's from Batman Begins. That's option number one. Option number two is it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, from Rocky. And then number three is if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball. and number four is clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose, from Friday Night Lights. What do you think? What do you think yours is?
Well, you picked some classics there. I think that was Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Yeah. You picked some classic ones, some absolute classic. I'm a huge Rocky guy. I love Rocky. I like boxing in general. I like the parallels between that and just how it relates to life. So I'll go with number two. I like it. Not saying we're going to use it all year, but I like it.
No, sounds good. And then to get to know you a little bit more for the fans here, I got some rapid fire ones. You don't have to elaborate unless you feel like you need to elaborate. But what are you listening to in the gym or to pump you up before a big game? What's on your headphones?
Yeah, no. When I'm working out, it is a combination. I got to be honest with you. It is a combination of really a number of things. I've got some country. I've got some Post Malone. I have. Let me look at what else I have here. I got it right here. I've got some Taylor Swift. I do. Teddy Swims. I got a little Coldplay. I got some Bieber on there. I got a collection of things, and then I've got some Prince on there too, just for a throwback to my day a little bit.
It's a good variety of music there. So I might already know the answer to this, since you just said Rocky's a really good movie, or really one of your favorite movies. But what movie can you watch over and over again and it's just as good as the first time?
Ooh. I would say Rocky 1, A Few Good Men, and those two for sure.
Yeah.
I loved Maverick too.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. And then who from basketball history would you like to have dinner with, and why?
I'd love to sit down with Bird and Magic, because when I went through, when I was growing up, they created a popularity in the game that was phenomenal. It was unlike anything that had been seen before. So I grew up in that era. I was a young kid at the time, growing up watching those guys, and they had this incredible rivalry. So if I could pick two, it'd be Bird and Magic, and just sit back and listen to them talk about their experiences.
Oh, that's great. All right, one last thing before we wrap up here. So I was actually on a family vacation driving down through Kentucky when you had your press conference, when you had your welcome press conference, and I happened to go through Bullet Bourbon, and I got a special label printed, and I'm going to open it, and hopefully I can open it with you. But it says DePaul University hires Coach Chris Holtmann.
That's awesome.
And it says "Go Blue Demons." So hopefully we can find a time and a big win, and maybe celebrate a Friday night at Madison Square Garden or something like that. So looking forward to this year, Coach. I wish you all the best, and
let's celebrate that together after
absolutely.
A big win. I love
it. Absolutely. So thanks again for your time. Look forward to doing this again sometime soon, and go Blue Demons.
Anytime. Thanks for your coverage.
Really great stuff from Coach Holtmann there. Really fun interview. It was nice to talk to him, and looking forward to doing a little bit more with him during the season as things progress. Really just a different vibe from this head coach from the last. A lot more energy. It feels like it feels too that the university, the athletic department, everyone is pulling to get this thing right and to move it in the right direction, which is a breath of fresh air. It's something that I haven't seen before, something that in my years as a fan, as a student worker, and now, hosting this podcast, it's something that, it's been a long time coming for us Blue Demons fans. I know there's always been all these struggles the past few years and then some. And to be able to have a coach with that kind of poise, charisma, you name it, and the coaching staff that's behind him, it's gonna provide different results. It's going to, because he's been there and he's got the head coaching experience. His staff has head coaching experience, and getting the NIL collectives in lockstep with the program and working with the fans and working with season ticket holders and other stakeholders. It's really exciting to see where this program is going to be. The sky really is the limit, and the only thing that is going to stop us is the competition, and the competition is going to get harder, and we just have to rise to that occasion. So as we get closer and closer to the season, we'll do a show where we'll have some other people on, and we'll go over the roster and talk a little bit more, hopefully a little bit more behind the scenes stuff that we can provide to you from the perspective of how this team's going to look on the floor. Maybe I'll get out to some practice and be able to watch that. We'll see. But yeah, can't wait for this season. Looking forward to what it has in store, and looking forward to bringing you all more content. So till next time, go Blue Demons.